routes to central Tehran, to Inqilab Square, the metro stations, the buses, wherever they could get access. Even the people could not get to their work. So they were beaten and they were, dispersed even outside, in the outskirts of central Tehran.
And you believe those reports? However you're communicating with these people inside Tehran today, in the past few hours, you believe the truth of what they're telling you?
Well, I do believe, and if I may just go back to the history of this resentment against this system, is that in the 1979 revolution, the Iranians wanted a kind of, freedom, kind of democracy that they were fighting for. But at that time, what they didn't want was the Shah regime, and didn't have a clear, vision of what they wanted. What they wanted, freedom, which they didn't get. And in the 1990s, when Khatami came through the reform agenda, that was not delivered as well. But this time, they are there to get it. And I think the Iranian society is quite mature and ready for a democracy. And what they are not getting is, that's the main reason for this frustration, and they are coming out of this in the streets.
When you say they are ready to get it, point number one, what do they think the timescale will be? And point number two, what is it that they want?
Well, what they want is democracy. And that is why they are out in the streets. The timescale, of course, nobody can predict. But what they want, the Iranian society is ready. If you compare Iran with other nations in the region, it is the most secular society, the most liberal society, though they have an Islamic government. If you go in the streets of, Turkey, Morocco, you will see on Fridays that the people will go to mosques to pray in the streets. They will block the streets, but you cannot find that in Tehran. And that is why the Iranian society, the Iranian people now have found the legitimate way of expressing their, their desire for democracy. And that legitimacy is that a big chunk of the establishment is with them. Mousavi is as, long in this revolution as Ayatollah Khamenei and Rafsanjani and the rest. So they are inside the system, from inside the establishment, and they are there to support this desire for democracy.
You obviously believe your sources inside Tehran today. Very difficult for us here at this distance to get a sense of how many people are actually out on the streets, because there was a point on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday when it wasn't tens of thousands, it was hundreds of thousands. John Lyne was down there, he was very definite about that. How many people are either trying to protest or are protesting right now?
Well, if they had the permission to demonstrate, you could see millions, in my view, in Tehran again. But they were not allowed. And what you see is that street by street, as John said, that even in their alleys were cornered, and they were not allowed to come and make a big mass so that they could not be confronted. And what they did is to stop them at different corners of Tehran, not to let them to come out in Tehran from other towns, for example, Karaj and the surrounding towns around Tehran. So that is the main reason that we haven't seen, millions of people in the streets today.
Okay, Dr. Habibi, for the moment, thank you very much for your insights there. We appreciate your time. You can keep right up to date with that, of course.